welcome to the Arts in Heart. My name is Likuyani Eli, and right in time for the president we want. 4 days to election day, and Kenyans are now scrambling to find out who is going to be their next president. In the meantime, the two front runners, for now, we can authoritatively say Right Honorable Raila Odinga and William Ruto will be battling. But this battle is not just within the Kenyan borders, it is extending to the diaspora electorate. What exactly will the diaspora be voting for? Who are they going to vote for? And why are they going to vote? These and more so questions we'll be answering as we start the conversation tonight. With me, let me first introduce my first guest, who is MK Ronald, all the way in Nairobi, Kenya. Good evening, MK, if you can hear me. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Eli. I can hear you very well. Thank you for having me on the show.
Great to have you, MK. Kindly introduce yourself for those who haven't had the opportunity to know you.
My name is actually Ronald Havagali from Kakamega. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, practicing as such in the law firm of Havagali and Kadima Law Advocates. We are based in Nairobi. I'm not new to the show, actually. I've been here several times for those ones who have not been fellow panelists. We are ready. We have been sharing so much with the audience. I'm ready for the show.
Thank you so much, MK, for showing up tonight, because you will be feeding us more when it comes to matters, the Constitution and what it says on the rights of Kenyans, matters elections. For the first time, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lady on set all the way from Germany. Margaret, good evening. How are you tonight?
Good evening. My name is Margaret Rulhoff. I'm an epidemiologist working in pharmaceutical and clinical research in Germany, and I'm happy to be here.
Great to have you, Margaret. What are you bringing on board tonight?
I'm bringing on board wonderful, wonderful new ideas, and also old ideas that we can just interact and learn more about.
Definitely, we will be more than happy and pleased to engage you. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we are crossing all the way to the US in California. What a way to end and start this show. Maurice Ndole. Good evening, Maurice. How are you?
Good evening to you, and good afternoon to everybody who's tuning in from the United States. And my name is Maurice Ndole. I am based in California. I am an independent journalist and the owner of Ndole Media Group, which is a broad spectrum media company. And I'm also the publisher of Hot Seat News, which is an independent website focusing on the news on Kenyan diaspora.
Awesome. And that's exactly what we will be talking about tonight, Kenyan diaspora. First of all, let's just make a difference. There's a difference between diaspora and foreigner. Where do you fall, Maurice?
Well, I'm not a foreigner. So I'm a member, I'm a Kenyan, first and foremost. And then every other identity falls behind that. And I'm a member of the Kenyan diaspora based in the US, which means I participate in my home country, in my adopted country, the United States. I love the United States. I appreciate what the United States has offered to me and my family. But I also belong to Kenya because that's where I was born. That's where my being is. That's who I identify with in terms of being an African and in terms of being a professional. So it's we can never, ever, ever agree to be called foreigners. So I am a Kenyan diasporan.
Definitely Kenyan diaspora. That is Maurice Ndole. And thank you so much to our audience. Welcome to the conversation. You can follow this live on Facebook, The Arts in Heart, on YouTube, The Arts in Heart Official. And of course, we're streaming this stream live on www.blueradio.co.ke. My name is Likuyani Eli, and let's have a good time. Margaret.
Yes, please.
Diaspora has been the identity of most of us. Diaspora has been labeled the biggest earner, or rather 4%, or let's equate it to almost 4% of the GDP of Kenya. Is that all what diaspora is?
No, actually, it's time that we really defined to Kenyans or to everyone else that diaspora is way far beyond the remittances that they produce. So, and this is where voting in the diaspora becomes a very important aspect, because when they vote, they have a position. Their voices are going to be heard more. And it's time that we came out and told the people that we are here, because when we come to the diaspora, we come as single persons or individuals, but we end up creating families in the diaspora. And once somebody just looks at the money we are bringing back home and forgets the forthcoming generation, both Kenya and the other generation are going to lose on a lot. For example, you have kids who are actually half Kenyan and half the adopted country. They have the citizenship there. But then again, when they only look at our money, at one point we will die. And when we die, the children that we give birth to actually have more skills and more money. And Kenya will actually lose out on them. And it's not only the money that they bring aboard, they only bring the skills, and they can also help the country move forward, because we learned some things from the adopted homes, but our children actually are better placed to, even because they leave it from birth, and we can use these experience that they have. And also we can just sensitize the whole world that no, we're not only here for the money. We have skills. There's a lot we can do. So diaspora should definitely be heard and described in a better way, not only just as ATMs.
Thank you. But that's what we are, ATMs. I don't know, Maurice, what is your perspective in all this? The diaspora vote, does it really matter in these elections?
Yeah, the diaspora vote matters. I mean, we were able to register in outside Africa for the first time, which was a historic event. We cannot downplay the significance of this moment, where the diaspora, we can vote in Los Angeles, we can vote in Berlin. So it's not something that we can take for granted. Yes, it was not executed very well. A lot of people are going to grapple with how IBC conducted the voter registration exercise. It was difficult for us to do it, and the numbers were not where we need to be. I mean, we did not register so many people, but it's a start. Okay, and as Maja said, the diaspora is way more than just about remittances. We are about being Kenyan, first of all. Okay, we are about fighting for Kenya from outside the country. So Kenya has some backup outside its borders. People who have goodwill for the country, people who want to see the country progress. So we are looking at this moment not just as a moment for us to go out and cast one vote, but we're looking at this moment as an advancement. Okay, we are expecting that the next voter registration exercise will have more people participating. We'll have easier ways to register. We'll have more polling stations for us to go, and it's going to be less taxing than it was this time. So I'm excited that we had this moment, and I'm looking forward to better times where this franchise that we started with this year's vote is going to be expanded. And also have to note, it is estimated that we have 3 million Kenyans outside the country in the diaspora. Okay, that is a huge number. That is a whole county if you look at it. So imagine we have a whole county not participating in the election, okay, deciding the fate of the country. And these are a county which contributes 4% of the GDP, which is higher than what tourism brings in the country. If you put that in context, okay, if you're sending 20,000 shillings every month to a family member, we are actually one of the biggest employers in Kenya. Okay, because if you say 20,000 shillings is almost a salary for some in some jobs, so we are actually employing hundreds, thousands of people with just our remittances. If you want to look at it that way, so we want to expand that franchise. We want to do more. Okay, and that's why some of the ideas that have been floated around are exciting me. We are thinking about having something like the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs. If you have the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs, that would easily capture all those all those Kenyans in diaspora who have not engaged with the country, give them an avenue to re-engage back with Kenya and become more productive, grow our country, and hit the potential. We know that Kenya is one of the leading African countries in terms of advancement, internet, and all that stuff, and we can actually do more.
We can do more, you say that, Maurice, but the biggest impediment to all this has been always the constitution that we work with. And that's where I want to bring in MK. MK, a lot of Kenyans in diaspora have complained about their accessibility to such privileges because now they become privileges and not rights anymore. They are not able to vote because of the limitations of the constitution. Kindly paint to us the real picture and image of what constitution says and what rights are we being denied as diaspora residents?
Early to begin with, I wouldn't actually blame the constitution as such. The constitution has provided or has provisions that provide for political rights, and these political rights actually, the right to vote is part of it. The constitution specifically, you can see under Article 38, provides for political rights. That is under the Bill of Course. It is a right in the constitution that every other citizen of a country, of this country, Kenya specifically, has that right to vote, and unless you yourself as a citizen doesn't want to exercise that right. It is even providing other provisions, under Article 83, that these actually there have to be mechanisms to enable the citizen of the country to vote. This provision is there, and that is when you're looking at the local legal provisions. We have even the international instruments that provide for this. Only that the only limitation that we have as regards to the constitution is we haven't had a law enacted as envisaged by the constitution that will actually enable or enforce the right of the rights of citizens in the diaspora to vote. The constitution provided for this, but we have not had any law enacted specifically to provide the mechanisms and the framework, the structures under which the citizens in the diaspora can be allowed or can be enabled to vote. We have international instruments. We have the United Declaration of Human Rights, the human rights. We have the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights that provide for this right to vote. We have the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. And when looking at these international instruments, you realize that the Constitution of Kenya recognizes these as the laws that are supposed to be applicable in the country. Why? Because the Constitution recognizes that once Kenya has ratified these international instruments, we as citizens, or these instruments actually apply to all Kenyans, just as any other law that has been enacted in the country. We have had these instruments in place. We have not had the political, I don't know whether to call it the political will or to blame it on the status of the country as in terms of our levels of development. But we have seen in 2017, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission tried to actually give it a try. 5 countries in Africa conducted voter registration. I'm not sure whether actually the elections were held in those respective embassies in those countries. And this year we have had an increase in the numbers, as Maurice puts it. We have had 12 countries, including ones abroad. We have had a good development. Actually, there is some hope that maybe in 2027 we are going to have a vast country of a number of countries being included in voter registration. Only that it is unfortunate that out of the 3 million million citizens that are outside the country, we actually managed to register only about 4,000. That is actually a very meager number. It is actually embarrassing. It shows that the process was not properly conducted, because you can't tell me all the others are not willing. Maybe most likely they were not enabled. They were not given proper enough time, because I understand at some point the IBC had to call off the registration. before even the most people could be given an opportunity to participate. So as we look at whether the Constitution has actually provided or failed to provide this right, I will say the Constitution has provided it. Then the enactment of a statute to enable it has not been done. You know, the Constitution is there, but the Constitution cannot function as it is. It is kind of a skeleton. It is just a guide that it is enabled by statutes enacted by the Parliament. But when the Parliament hasn't enacted the relevant statutes to enable implementation of articles of the Constitution, then we have a problem. We will come out saying the Constitution doesn't provide for it, but actually it does. In fact, it even prohibits any citizen being denied the right to vote in any way, provides that the commission responsible should provide the necessary administrative action and structures to enable that to.
My apologies, I think we lost MK thereabout, but very, very interesting issues they are mentioning. And just for the clarity purposes, I want to say it's not 4,000, but about 10,000 plus registered voters in the diaspora as a basket. Maurice and of course, Margaret, you've heard what MK has said in terms of the provisions that we have as diaspora people. Why is it, as we speak today, we still have that lower turnout, Maurice? Is it the provisions in terms of the poll stations are less compared to the Kenyans and the location geographically? Or what exactly has been your experience as a diaspora member?
So it was very, the plan that IEBC came about with was very difficult to execute. The publicity was not good. Requiring people to register, let's say the US is a nation with 50 states. There was only 3 locations that you could register in: Los Angeles, New York, and Washington, DC. So for somebody to come from, let's say, Texas to come and register in California, that would cost you thousands of dollars. So it was logistically not feasible for us to achieve that. Yeah, and then when you have those kind of registration exercises, you put it in a city like Los Angeles. Los Angeles is not an easy city to navigate, even for people who live in Los Angeles. So the embassy is in downtown Los Angeles, and you're living in the outskirts of Los Angeles. It's going to take you hours and hours of traffic to get there. So these things sound like excuses, but they were logistical and all these things that could have been done better. And then another thing that made it very difficult for us to execute is they did not involve the diaspora. All these things were planned in Kenya, and then the IBC officials, I met them. They were really wonderful people. I met Justus Nyangaya, the commissioner, Joyce Ekwam. They were really great people. They had all the good ideas that they want to execute, but they don't live in the diaspora. So next time, I think we need to involve more people in the diaspora in the planning, get the community to be involved. The way people know what's going on is not through Facebook or whatever. They know through the church, they know through the community. So if you have community leaders involved in these things, and I'm a community leader as well in my community over here, and that's how I get the information out to my friends and the people around me. That could have really boosted the turnout, especially in the locations where they were actually holding those consulate and embassies. So in future, those are just some of the quick remedies we can do, on top of looking for other ways of registering. Online registration, for example. We do e-citizen to register for almost everything. I don't see anybody in the diaspora having a problem sending M-Pesa through online. You send it and it's right there. So we have these capabilities and options that we can replicate. Yeah. And IBC being an independent body, I don't expect they're going to use e-citizen because e-citizen is a government body, but they can come up with a similar platform, which is going to enable people to register to vote and also make it easier. At the end of the day, we want Kenyans to re-engage back. If they re-engage back, the amount of money that we are sending now, which is just like 5% of what we're earning, could balloon to 20%. So imagine if remittances or foreign direct investment jumps from from $4 billion to $20-25 billion. Imagine what that can do to that economy. So it's a missed opportunity, and IBC they did what they did, but it wasn't enough. And just kind of to touch on a little bit about the Constitution, there's certain things that the IBC is pegging their argument on how they register voters in the diaspora. The Constitution says that they're supposed to register voter progressively. So the word progressively is a very ambiguous word, which does not give them like milestones. This is what you need to register by a certain time. So we need those kind of things to be ironed out in the Constitution on election laws. That way we can know that, okay, in 2027, we're going to have this number of people registered in the diaspora. We're going to use this mechanism, and so on and so forth. So I think in a nutshell, we can do better.
We can do better, Maurice, but let's take some questions from the audience. And as we do that, kindly engage us with the hashtag election 2022. I will start by quickly giving a shout out to all of you that are watching. I see Frida. Thank you so much. Soka Fan Banta, Gilbert Were, Francis Munyao, Njekita, Alfred, Renee, Simon Jenga, and Richard Makiadi, Waswaderic. Thank you so much. Let's take some question here. Probably I would love Margaret to take this, but how can we be sure the IEBC take account of diaspora votes? What are the instruments of controls? How can we be sure that these votes won't be manipulated? And I think, Margaret, that has been the fear of most diaspora voters, especially those ones that are supporting one candidate against the other candidate. As a diaspora member, do you feel that these elections will be fair and integrity will be observed throughout the process as a diaspora member?
I mean, if I respond from the perspective of what I feel, I would be very subjective. So, but looking at the happenings currently, it's really not easy to believe that IEBC is going to conduct a very transparent elections. And the reasons here are that we really do not have clear, like we would call it SOPs, things to follow and ways of improvement. They have, for example, a backroom, which they cannot explain why they have it and what they have it for. So actually, many people are, although it's very subjective, many people are not so sure if the IBC is able to take on this role. Of course, we don't want to 100% say, oh, no, they cannot, but how they're communicating it at the moment does not give confidence to the citizens. Now, what we are trying to do now as diasporans is to just implement the procedures that are able to be we are able to implement by just trying to support the voting agents that are going to try to work on protecting those votes. But ideally, IEBC as an electoral body should really, after all these years, have something in plan that really can give the citizens, all citizens, not only diasporans, that can give them confidence. So at the moment, unfortunately, maybe due to miscommunication, the diasporans or the citizens worldwide do not really have confidence that the votes are going to be counted well. But I would like to give the IBC the benefit of the doubt, because if I say that would be the case, I would just be subjectively making an opinion.
Okay, Margaret, thank you so much. MK, I don't know what is your approach to this, because the IBC has come out to clearly state what it's going to do, how it's going to do it, and reassured, in fact, seeking divine intervention. MK.
Ellie, if you ask me, assurance is one thing, but what the citizens or what the people can see being done is a different thing. Assurances will be given in press conferences, in print press, but now what is on the ground is what matters. And the first thing to consider when you want to evaluate whether the IBC will properly or can gain confidence in the manner in which they are going to conduct this election and even count the votes is what mode of voting does the IBC propose, or has it presented to the diaspora? You know, like we have countries like in the US, we have we have the postal method, we have the electronic. But in this country, I don't know whether we have developed enough to employ that. I doubt whether we have. We can't do postal, we can't do electronic. We have had rumors of hackings and mistrust with the IBC from since the new constitution. We have never had a commission that has gained trust in terms of how they handle the votes, and bringing in the electronic bit. You knew 2017 you heard about the server issues, and now how can we even trust the transmitting of the votes from the diaspora embassies and consulates to the tallying centers or to the servers held by the IBC? That is now a different question. How would you even trust the embassy itself to handle your votes and submit it or remit the proper figures or the numbers to the IBC? Those people are government appointees. Those are in the embassies. How do you trust them? The other Kenyans will tell you, no, we can't trust this, including those in the diaspora. They will tell you we can't trust these numbers. We don't know where they came from. Let us just trust those numbers that we saw in the polling stations in the country. So I think the IBC needs to invest in an almost certain or sure mode of these elections and transmission of the results. IBC has a budget of billions. I don't think we are insufficiently equipped technologically as a country in Africa. We are among the, I'm not sure, but I think we are among the top 5. We have advanced technologically. We have proper internet coverages. We have citizens in those diaspora countries that are more developed. We wouldn't blame it on us being a third world country to implement a single method of voting for the diaspora and remitting proper results. It goes back to integrity. We can't trust ourselves. We can't trust the people who we have put in place to do this work for us. That is now a problem. It bites away from the confidence of the IBC and that of the citizen.
Thank you, MK. So, Maurice, you want to jump in before I can come in?
Let me jump in there. So, I mean, as a journalist, I have to base my assertions about what is happening and what is not happening on facts. And so far, IBC is suffering from a perception of trust. People don't trust the IBC, and I've kind of looked at that, and I see it as mostly as a problem of poor communication on their part. Because the IBC person who came into Elizabeth Omolo, who came in to present to us how the election is going to work, assured us that everything is going to be all right. They're going to be voting in the consulate or the embassies, and then after the vote has happened, the votes are going to be counted right there, and the results are going to be transmitted with all the agents having signed off on a certain form. I'm forgetting the name of the form. So the process to me sounds very transparent. So for us as journalists, for us as agents or observers and all that, we have to do our part. We have to participate every step of the way to make sure the procedures are being followed. We have to ensure that there is transparency because IBC has promised transparency. So we have to hold them accountable to that. And then during the process, if there's any questions, we ask and we get them resolved. If there is somebody missing on the voter rolls, we get that resolved. So it's going to be upon the agents to hold the IBC, the political party agents and the observers and the media to hold IBC accountable to what they have promised to deliver. I just saw something in the news. I haven't really read it. I saw something in the news that the IBC has been asked to produce a physical copy of the registered voters. I think that is something that they should have produced without having to go through so many hoops. And whenever there's those kind of questions are raised, I mean, as much as they might think it's unreasonable, I mean, those are concerns. And when you are a body that is actually administering something of such high consequence and high stakes, when somebody raises a question, you want to pacify that by actually responding affirmatively. So I would say IBC has kind of shot itself in the foot so many times, but I have no reason to say that the voter transmission from the consulate and all those things, unless the internet doesn't work and stuff, I have no reason to believe that the people that IBC has sent are shady. or they're going to do something funny with the vote over there. I'm gonna be one of the people out there looking at the voting exercise in Los Angeles. So if I see something that looks funny, I'll let you know.
Well, let's just hope the funny will be a joke. But before I allow you, Margaret, let's just continue this conversation with everybody that is watching. I see a comment here, and it reads out, I think the diaspora has been ignored for far too long. The diaspora should be a constituency on its own and have their representatives. Thank you so much, Soccer Fans Banta. I see again, these are comments from the audience. As the panelists, I'm not sure the IEBC consider diaspora voters properly, but idea to involve diaspora in this election is a good initiative, though. Room for improvement is still there.
Amen.
And I have Anne Serafin who says, I totally agree with you. I expected more than they are offering. There's so much room for improvement from the IEBC, and there seems to be a lot of blaming of the IEBC and all that. But Margaret,
yes,
Maurice mentioned facts. Sorry,
yes,
you want to go before I can say something?
No, just go on.
Okay, Maurice mentioned facts. Let's talk about facts, because I want us to have now an open mic session. Fact is, after the 9th of August, there shall be a president. And fact is, after the 9th of August, there shall be opposition. Fact is, both of the frontiers that we've been seeing on news, and some of us might be supporting or be against, will be in government for a very long time. Question is, as diaspora, what are we going to look for into this election as we are voting? What are our concerns that need to be addressed with the coming in government? Margaret.
So that really cuts in with what I wanted to say, because previously I wanted to take you back to the constitutional provision that Ronald is talking about, and what he states to be missing is the enactment. And here is where the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs is very important, because when a third party looks at how much the diasporans registered, they go like, oh my God, how could that happen? But ideally, given that we are only or mostly being looked at just from a financial point of view, our needs are not communicated. So if, for example, we had representation in government, then we would have people in the government itself thinking about our needs. Because if you have an MP from Tetu, the MP from Tetu is going to think about Tetu first. They're not going to think about a voter in Belgium, in Brussels, being asked to come and register in Berlin. So I'm just trying to explain to people what really transpired that made the registration this low. And so, first of all, we need to sensitize people that the diaspora themselves need to come out and say, no, we are here and we are important. And now we have a situation whereby whoever is responsible is constituting a process that is not even explained to the diaspora. So they're giving the diaspora 2 weeks to register. They're insisting that the diaspora has to register only with the passport and not ID, which is very discriminatory. So when Ronald said the Constitution provides there's a provision that no Kenyan should be discriminated, but fact is, Kenyans in the diaspora were discriminated against until Umkia Umtata had to, that people had to petition to have Kenyans in the diaspora to also vote with their IDs. Now, the next step was that Kenyans in EU only, or everyone in the world, only realized 2 days to the deadline that they actually could vote, could also register with their IDs. So when you look at all these issues, and the gazettement of embassies, who even told Kenyans before, Kenyans in the diaspora, but you can only vote in an embassy that's gazetted. So all these came out only when we were clarifying with the ambassador, who, thank God, I at this point have to really give a shout out to Ambassador Tom Amolo, who actually explained the legal implications of everything. But this actually shows how much the diaspora is ignored. And so why should the diaspora really come in to vote even now? They should vote to show their presence. They say, look, we're here. Because when you want to talk to somebody, you will ask, you say, so where are you? Where are you based? I'm based in Germany. How many voters do you have there? We have 314 voters. No, that's not the much we need. So yes, we need more voters, but we need to have instruments that have availed to us according to the provision of the constitution. So this is not happening. So we are going to vote, and I encourage the diasporans to come out and vote, irrespective of your candidate. You have to be heard, because if you're not heard, they'll still continue thinking of you just as a source of money. Whereas when you retire, you want to go back home. You don't want to go back home to a foreign country. You want to have a ministry of the diaspora that's already looking into your issues. And if you say, well, I work as a doctor and I want to go back home, you should not be having licensing issues. These issues are still existent because somebody sitting back in Kenya at the Ministry of Health says, well, yes, those are doctors from abroad, but you need to have a doctor who's working here. Even if they're going back home, they should be recognized, and the licensing should be harmonized in a way that he or she could go for holiday for 1 week, and the other week just says, I want to work, I want to help my country. This should be possible. So if Kenyans really want to, because of course we are in the diaspora, but this is not, for many people, it's not their official home, or they want to retire. So I think whether you want to vote UDA or Azimio, you should really come out and vote, because only then will people know your power, because the diaspora really has large numbers. They did not register because it was not made possible for them. Because yeah, so I hope that answers the question. If there's something that I left out, you can just bring up the question again, but I think that really answers the questions, and people should make themselves noticeable. And there are many, many other things, because otherwise you're also, as a voter or as a Kenyan in the diaspora, you're bringing up a child who is being told that they are not American, they're not German. And so you will die at some point. And where is your child going back to? I like bringing up just life examples. So yes, that is our home. Tell the government we are here, whether it's Ruto or Raila, we are here and we want to be part of you. We want to decide. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. I don't know about you, Maurice, but why do you feel, I mean, what are the things you feel should be addressed with the incoming government as a diaspora member?
Well, I think the incoming government should address corruption. I think corruption is a top issue. Corruption is a cancer in Kenya, and there is no way at this point where we can have a country where they're losing 2 billion shillings a day, according to the Auditor General, the Central Bank Auditor General report, that they're losing 2 billion shillings a day. If you're losing 2 billion shillings a day, and I don't care if you're Microsoft or if you're Amazon, that's a problem. So the magnitude of the loss is $750 billion a year. Okay, $750 billion a year represents almost 6% of the GDP. So if you do not address that hole in the government, there is nowhere you're going. And that is where I really want Kenyans to think about who they're going to vote for. Because on one side, we have a candidate who does not really want to talk about corruption. He calls it state capture, and he gives it all these euphemisms and stuff. And on the other side, we have a candidate who's actually talking about this is the issue of our time. I know some Kenyans still don't think corruption is an issue anymore because they've kind of figured out how to live with it. Okay, but trust me, corruption is not just about government services. Corruption is when Mama Mboga is trying to sell his mboga and somebody comes and take their staff hostage and charges him some money. Okay, corruption is when you go to the hospital and then on top of the money that you're supposed to pay for the medicine, the pharmacy tells you need to pay a bribe so that they can give you the medicine that has been prescribed to you. Corruption is a cancer that has to be addressed for our country to move forward. And if that is not stark enough, okay, you think about who's going to be in charge of the of the arms of the government. Once you elect the president in Kenya is very powerful. The president of Kenya is going to be in charge of the central bank. So if you elect somebody who does not care about corruption, the first thing they're going to go is to put somebody in the central bank who's going to be somebody that they can control, and there you go. They manage all the budget of the country and siphon the money from that. So in that case, I mean, you can tell where I'm leaning on this, and I think that's the path that Kenya should take. And on top of corruption, there's certain issues that we experience in the diaspora, and these are very, very sensitive issues. You get a call from somebody at home, okay? Somebody's sick, okay? And they have to go to the hospital. The hospital bill is so big, okay? When they tell you the number that they have to pay the hospital, your eyes pop. I mean, we cannot sustain a country when we are charging people such exorbitant fees for basic needs, for things that they need for life. Okay, nobody schedules a disease. Nobody wants to be sick. So we have to create a government which takes care of things like healthcare. Okay, healthcare is paramount. I know the US is a little bit, it's ironic for me to talk about healthcare in that way because the US system is also kind of messed up when it comes to healthcare. But we have a robust insurance system. Okay, at least they have a system. You have insurance. When you have insurance, you can get your healthcare. In Europe, they have it better. But Kenya, as a country, we need to do better with stuff like that. We need to stop holding our people hostage. And that is also a form of corruption in the government. So, and then we also have to look at the candidates who are running. Okay, what is their history? What have they done in the past? You cannot just elect somebody president because it's the ambition to be president. You have to look at the background. You have to see what they've done in the past. Somebody like Ruto, I don't know what Ruto has done in the past. As far as I know, I knew about Ruto when he became the Youth for Kanu 92 guy. Okay, that is not a credential that I admire. Okay, we have on the other side of the Azimio side, which is I'm going to be open. That's the side that I think is actually presenting an option for Kenyans to move forward. Azimio side has people who have fought for the rights of Kenyans to advance. Somebody like Raila Odinga fought for the 2010 constitution to be enacted, which gave us dual citizenship. We have benefited directly from his activity. So in my opinion, we need to see these things for what they are. We need to start looking at the future. And we have to tell ourselves that it is not sustainable if you're carrying a bucket of water and it has a hole that is sipping $700 billion a year. That bucket, the water you're going to carry in that bucket is not going to be sufficient for what you're planning to do. So that's my opinion about that, and that's the direction I think the country should take.
The direction that the country should take should be looking very keenly on the issue of corruption. And MK, you and I have been doing this for close to 1 month plus, and we have been critiquing each and every of these candidates in the name of the president we want. Do you feel it is important as we go into this election to look into this aspect in terms of corruption? Is it the biggest concern right now as a Kenyan voter? MK?
Yes, Eli, I agree with you. What you say, I agree with what Mori says. The first and biggest concern of Kenyans is corruption. We have discussed it several times. We have talked about the bad effects of that vice. We have analyzed the candidates that we have. We have seen who can actually do better in terms of fighting corruption, who cannot, if there is any, how they propose to do it by their manifestos. We have discussed all that. We have also discussed the ballooning public debt. And you see, when you talk of corruption being a major concern, it is indirectly or even directly contributing to the public debt. Why? Because when we have too much corruption, we have resources that are not being used in the proper areas to do the proper work. Then the government is actually being forced to borrow so that they can cover up for what has been stolen, including the high offices and even to the lowest mwananchi. We have actually a big problem in corruption. We have looked at the candidates, and you know my opinion about it. I have had my opinion. I have actually looked at both Raila and Ruto and the people and the teams that they have. I have made an opinion that actually none of these guys is going to fight corruption. These people are going to continue with what is going on in the government as we speak. That is my personal opinion. I never intend to influence anybody the way they want to vote, but I always want somebody to look at something with an open mind, evaluate, because we will not have Raila alone, Ruto alone running the government. We will have a team. We will have his appointees. What are the likely appointees for Raila, Ruto? Are these people of integrity? Are they going to continue with whatever they aspire to do? The other day we had the African man telling you these people are not vying for office because of the salaries. Actually, some of them are already moneyed. Others have better jobs. But why would they be fighting all these using millions are seeking office? It is because of corruption. They know there is something more than actually the salary. Otherwise, some of them wouldn't be going into office for 300,000 shillings for the MCS and campaigning with over 5 million. We wouldn't be having presidents campaigning for over 5 billion shillings, and the campaigns are going to only earn what the president earns. They know what is in there, including those deals, those tender deals, those are trading with the government agencies, all that. They know that they are going to benefit. They are going to enrich themselves more. That is why they are fighting to do all that. The Kenyan needs to understand that just as we have had corruption, we need to have a solution. And do we have a solution in the current crop of candidates? I don't know. I needed to make a comment on the issue of actually having a leader for the diaspora. If you ask me personally, we have, just like many other areas in this country, we already have many institutions. Some of them actually doing nothing. We will learn of it when there is a scandal or an allocation of funds or something to make the media report about. That is when you'll know this institution exists, so and so is the board member, so and so is the leader. That is when you realize, yeah, but then when you look at what exactly they are doing, you won't even tell. You can't even just list 1, 2, 3. You will only know that they're actually drawing from the exchequer, they're earning from the government. But what we need to do is we just need to revamp. We just need to have consulates or embassies that are very aware of the concerns of the people in the diaspora. And these have to be addressed. But by the way, I really doubt whether the most pressing concerns actually, these people actually are aware of them. They are just going to serve the interests of the appointees and serve their term and then come back. I may not be in a better position to know them. All the main concerns. You guys are better because you're out there, you have experienced how these embassies work. But from where I sit, from the way these appointments are done, from the way the cabinet department for foreign affairs is conducted, from the stories I've heard, from even those Kenyans who go to other countries, including in the Gulf, what they go through, I tend to think these institutions are actually not functioning, or if they are functioning, they don't know all the concerns. They are not addressing all the concerns, all the concerned parties that are out there where they are they're situated, and they need to actually wake up and see what is this they are not addressing, because Kenyans have many issues. As Margaret says, you guys are living out there with the families. It's not about only work. It is a life. It's a life somebody's leading, and those other things, everything else that concerns life has to be in its proper, has to run properly. But when you don't have structures that actually support you in terms of even recognizing that you are a citizen of this country, then it is actually a problem. I think it has to be addressed from that line, rather than having a leader who will again just come, have an office maybe in this country, but do nothing. They will just be here, an institution with employees, with a budget, but doing nothing. We would rather address it from the consulates or the embassies that are in those respective countries. They're actually there because they are supposed to serve the citizens of the country. They are not there to serve the citizens of those countries where they are situated. That's what I would think.
So Ellie, if it's all right, I could just
Please, you have a right of reply, each of you 1 minute.
Okay, so the issue here is that when a Kenyan comes from Kenya, in some years, after some years, if they adopt a foreign citizenship, they have no contact with the embassy anymore. So the embassy like somehow loses them. So their needs, the needs of Kenyans with a dual citizenship, is really not known to the embassy. So the embassy has different functions. Well, they're working very good, but when it comes to really networking with the diasporans who have maybe stayed longer and don't need to go to the embassy most of the time, uh, the embassy cannot help them. The embassy cannot address the issues. For example, a very concrete example, because I work in the medical field, you have a doctor who's come to Kenya, or you have a pharmacist who's come to Kenya. They want to know how they can have their degrees recognized in Germany. So is the embassy going to help them? No. The embassy wants to just with the passports, expired passport, I need an ID, I need so but other things, the Kenyan embassy really, I'm not saying they're not doing a good job, they're doing a good job, but we need somebody from the Ministry of Diaspora. Of course, we have to work with Kenyans back home because we cannot be really an Iceland. But then one employee, like we need somebody to be in the embassy because we also have to tap into the resources and knowledge of the embassy where they can at least communicate the needs. For example, if a diasporan who stayed in Kenya, in the Netherlands for 20 years wants to invest back home, who knows about that? The embassy does not know about that because this Kenyan does not connect to the embassy. We have a lot of issues that really the embassies as they work now cannot address. Not that they cannot address, not because they're not able to, but it's outside the scope of their work. So that is why, of course, as people staying in the diaspora, we're very keen on budgeting, and we don't want to create more positions that are going to cost more money. But if I'm an entrepreneur and creating a position makes me bring 4-5 folds as an individual of what this person is being paid, I think it's a win for Kenya, because that is just one individual. And if you take the collective amount, it really brings in a lot of money and a lot of wealth in terms of even culture, even the many things that can be done, and the embassy cannot really it's out of scope for them. It would also be unfair to ask them to also take care of that, because they would need an extra budget for that also. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Baj.
and,
I think the
just-
session was a lot. Can I have Maurice to really close on that topic?
Yeah, so MK, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We've had embassies since independence, and the diaspora have the same issues, and the embassy is just not sufficiently equipped to service the needs of the diaspora. And we are not just looking at just being served as in being contacted and stuff. We're looking at actually investing in our country. Okay, we are looking at tapping into a wealth of resource that is going unnoticed. Actually, is going wasted right now because nobody is paying attention to it. So just like we have the Ministry of Tourism targeting tourists, because tourism is important for Kenya. Okay, but as you can see, tourism brought less than $3 billion last year. The pandemic hit tourism so hard that we can no longer rely on tourism. So, but the diaspora is a reliable source of foreign direct investment. And we need to enhance that. The way we need to enhance that is to have a targeted approach. Okay, have a ministry that is catering to them. That way they know where to go. If you have you're trying to build an estate in Kenya, an apartment. Okay, you need to go over there and get all your licensing and all those things done. The embassy is not going to do that. The embassy is not going to do that for you. So if you have those kind of structures in place, it's going to help the country down the road. It's a smart idea to tap into the diaspora in a direct way. The Israelis do that. Israelis have kept in touch with their citizens all over the world. And whenever the Israeli government comes calling, they go and help. The Indians do that. The reason why there's so many Indian CEOs is not an accident in Silicon Valley. It's because the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs in India actually taps into those skills, brings them out, and markets them to the world. Okay, we can do the same thing. You said that Kenya is one of those advanced countries when it comes to technology. Yes, we are. Kenya is way advanced than other places. Kenya is the home of M-Pesa. Okay, M-Pesa came in before all these other money moving apps came about. We have invented something that has actually shaped how the world deals with currency. Okay, so what we are doing with the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs, or the need for that Diaspora Affairs, is to tap into that resource, consolidate it, and deploy it. Let me tell you something. I was in a Twitter space with the Herman Manyora the other day, and he said something which made me think. He said that when Somali gets their act together, okay, and they build their country, they will put us to shame. That is true. The Somali diaspora is one of the most productive diaspora I have ever seen. Okay, they even have a congressman, a high-profile congressman in the U.S. Congress. So we have to start thinking along those lines that we are actually missing out on this thing because we are not tapping into them. I'm not saying the embassy are bad people. I know them. I love them. A lot of those people, they're really, really diplomats and professionals. Okay, but we need more. We need a more targeted approach on how we bring the diaspora into the fold and how we bring them in to play a role in developing our nation, create jobs, give the youth an opportunity to thrive, and make a corrupt-free country. That's what we are saying.
Thank you so much, Maurice.
Yes,
and
Ellie, a brief, maybe just one half of a minute, yeah.
Okay, please make it very quick.
I actually want to agree with Maurice and Margaret to some extent, but we are not to full extent.
Yeah.
We are not going to compare a ministry for can you still hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We are not going to compare a ministry for tourism with a ministry for diaspora affairs. You see, you guys are still citizens of this country. We are not talking of tourists. You're comparing this with tourists. We have to attract tourists.
We are looking at the outcome. We are looking at the outcome.
Yeah. We're looking at money outcome.
We are looking at the outcome.
This is money, but you see, you're looking at even tourism looks at money as you actually the diaspora remits too much. I sometimes even I can't even quote the figure, but the Ministry of Tourism actually works differently from the way a ministry for diaspora affairs would work. You guys are still citizens. You can still come here, register a company, get the licenses the way you just are, invest your money here and go back where you are. You will have invested just the way I will invest here. You don't need a ministry to do that. You only need the goodwill. You just need your own will to just do it and come and do it. You see, nobody has actually even prohibited or inhibited your moves to this country in any way. But tourists, comparing it now with tourists are most of them actually foreigners who need to be attracted by what we call tourist attraction. We need they will come to spend their money in a country that is a foreign country, but this is your country. I don't see why you should say you need a ministry for this. I only support the fact that in those embassies and consulates, we need structures. We could incorporate structures that are actually taking care of any interest that you've raised that is of concern. Then we could, it is not entirely diplomatic only. It is actually, it should actually take care of even your labor matters, all those in that embassy, so that you have the way an embassy, the US embassy works here in the country. We always see how they coordinate with their citizens. That embassy in where you are, Margaret, can actually do this, and you can invest your money here without a ministry actually for that. I don't agree on that.
If you let me one moment, just I like using examples. You are a lawyer, but you would not believe that I've met many Kenyans who do not know, in diaspora, they don't know the difference between a lease and freehold title. No, they don't know about putting a caution. They don't know the difference between a caution and the other one. What's the other one? There's one that takes only 6 months and the other one takes restriction. So you see, while it's okay for you to say nobody's preventing you from coming to Kenya, I think at the moment we are having a cultural, let me call it conflict for lack of a better word. We are coming in to say we are human resource, we are selling something. And that is why we are even using the comparison with these ministries bringing in this money. So instead of Kenya waiting and say, whoever wants to come can come in and buy that, we're trying to say there could be a Kenyan in Ireland or in Luxembourg who really wants to buy land, but doesn't know about anything and will not even come to Kenya. Will say, uko siendi, uko kuna corruption, you buy a land, people process title deeds twice or thrice. You know that as a lawyer. So now if the diaspora, the Ministry of Diaspora had a sub-department that just deals with this, because these Kenyans, when you look at it from the business point of view, you are saying, come and buy. You don't want to do to advertise. So if this department would say, okay, this is the process of buying land before you even go back to Kenya, and this is how we're going to help you. And they know it's in their country of origin. Anything goes wrong, they come and say, well, but this went wrong, but they are informed. And so really not everybody is, yes?
We are foreigners seeking our legal services in this country. Foreigners, you can just seek legal services and you're good. You don't need a ministry for that.
I'm an entrepreneur in Kenya, for heaven's sake. And I'm trying to say, try and get a license. See how the Wahindis and warriors are being favored. When it's money, it's corruption. It kills a lot of dreams.
Yes,
if you have, and now we really need what we're doing now. And it's okay that this is sounding a little bit new to you, but this is because we need to let people really think about what we're saying. We are selling something, whether we want you to buy. I'm a mother of two. I'm not only coming as a mother of two with my children and husband. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm saying, Ronald, for me to work better, not everybody else can come to Kenya. Not everybody else can fight a cartel. If you want to pay for the what is it called, stamp duty? How much is stamp duty? They tell you 80,000, but then you tell them, I want to pay it directly. They say, no, do not do that. You give me 50,000. So why do I give you 50,000 when you're going to pocket it? These are the issues. So when a Kenyan in the diaspora really hears about this, and you know this very well, so we need people really in the diaspora who can tell them, look, we can guide you. If you're told a stamp duty is 100,000 fee, you pay it when you're paying it directly. Otherwise, do not pay for it. These things, even if you don't get a good lawyer in Kenya, you're going to be scammed. You gotta go and fight. You go at the lands office, there are people who are working there as agents, scamming people every day. Multiple titles are being produced in Kenya. So really, we cannot wait to just go there and solve those problems down there. You have people even stealing IDs and presenting people as legal owners of land and buying them. So really, these are the problems. We're not saying, no, we want somebody to just come and reach us here.
They actually
ladies
affect us.
Gentlemen and ladies on set, we really must end this conversation.
All of us.
But with that mentality, we are not heading anywhere. We're not heading anywhere.
Eli,
it is not like we need a special program for these people and another one for us.
So
what we just need proper institutions that are working, and they will also work equally properly for you guys. They will work for you guys and for us.
I'm directing you to the lands department. What is going there is extremely rotten. Yeah. So really,
Eli,
we need, because we are looking at
we really must end this conversation. We really must end this conversation, Margaret and
yes,
MK.
I'll look for you later, Ronald.
Kindly, let's allow Maurice.
Because that place is extremely rotten. We need clear processes.
Issues affecting Kenya. Correct, I agree.
Bottom line.
Let me jump in there, Marge. Let me jump in there. So I think Ronald makes a point that we can work those systems through the Ministry of. It's a valid argument, okay. But what we are proposing is something bigger. We are proposing something which is going to actually bring a bigger impact and benefit Kenya in a more direct way. Yes, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the embassies is a way to do it, But if you engage the diaspora directly, if you go with let's say, like Ma just gave an example with herself, her kids might not be Kenyan, they might be German more than Kenyan because they were born in Germany. So when you engage them directly through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you're treating them as foreigners. When you engage them in the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs with structures and all those things, you tend to bring them closer, because the proposal is the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs will look at all the opportunities that are there, okay, for the diaspora to tap into. And comparing the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs with tourism is just for illustration purposes in terms of output. Okay, right now at just producing 5%, we are at $4 billion, more than 400 billion shillings every year. So imagine now we have a targeted approach which has a body that is actually going out and engaging the diaspora. So we need to do that, and that's the basis. But I do see your point, and I appreciate it. I think we have tested that, and it did not work.
Great. Tested, did not work. Doing the same thing the same way, expecting different results is what Maurice thinks is supposed to be changed. The conversation continues. Of course, this is the president we want. We'll be streaming these programs until the 9th of August. We'll be having a full day coverage of the election as they happen in Kenya and around the globe. That is for the Diaspora Post. What does it mean to have a diaspora vote? What does it mean to vote as a diaspora member? I am now strictly asking each of these members to present their case in a minute. Why should that diaspora member go vote? Are we voting for stability of economy? Are we voting for the unity of the nation? Are we voting to kick out corruption? Or are we voting kwa sababu ni mtu wetu? Let's start with you, Margaret.
We're voting because we want to change. At the moment, there's inflation in Kenya. So we are voting. I would encourage Kenyans to vote according to their needs. Inflation, there's joblessness. So there's also, the food production, people are not able to do it because of the fertilizers are very expensive. There's healthcare whereby people are not able to be treated because, if you have a patient in the ICU or even in a private hospital, it really costs $1 million per month. So people don't have those exorbitant amounts. We are voting to check on women empowerment. There are parts of Kenya where women are still really not even given, maybe for people who are born in town, it's all right, but really women empowerment is important because women are the backbone of the societies, because the life expectancy for the women is longer than the men. So in most home states, you find that it's the women that outlive their men. So we need to empower them so that they can take care of the children. It's cool. We need maji kwa kila boma. We need, because you see, without water, children cannot bathe, you cannot cook. So Kenyans should vote according to their needs, and this is what they should look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Maurice, why should we vote? Why should a Kenyan diaspora engage themselves in this exercise?
The Kenyan diaspora should engage in voting because it's a franchise which we've clamored for a long time, first of all, and we need to exercise it now that we have it. So those of us who register to vote, go out and vote and exercise that franchise. Number two, this is an election which is going to determine the soul and fate of Kenya. Corruption is a big deal. It's one of those things that if we don't take care of corruption, the economy is not going to grow. You cannot carry water in a bucket that has a hole and expect to get the water into your home. It will leak and you lose all the water. So number three, the candidate that you choose is going to really determine where we move forward. This is the first time that we are offered a candidate or a ticket, which is actually advancing Kenyan democracy outside one province, aside two provinces. And it's also bringing the gender opportunity. The Azimio ticket, I'm fascinated by the Azimio ticket because for the first time, we're going to have a candidate who's not from, who's a president who's not from Mount Kenya or Rift Valley. So that advances the presidency away from those regions and brings it to a more democratic country. And for the first time, we're going to have a woman in the executive position, and it's not just a token woman. This is a strong woman, the Iron Lady, somebody who actually has proven herself over and over that she knows what she wants, and she believes that Kenya cannot move forward if corruption is continued to be allowed. So I think those issues are going to lead us to the third point I want to make: growing the economy to work for everybody. So if we take care of corruption, we have a democratic space, the economy is going to have the opportunity to thrive. So those are the issues I'm going to be voting for, and I'm encouraging every Kenyan to do the same.
Thank you so much, Maurice, for those contributions. MK, in a minute, why should we vote?
Number one, Eli, I think it is a matter of right. It is in our constitution, it is a right that you are not supposed to be denied unless you are not qualified to vote. And qualification, mainly in terms of soundness of mind and age. And anything else that will try to deny you this right is an illegality. So it is good that we have seen the IEBC is making efforts, is going the right direction to expand the voter base for the diaspora people, giving them an opportunity to vote. So you guys get out there and do the voting. Secondly, we are going to vote because we need to elect our leaders. You know, you guys may be out there, you may be having dual citizenship, you may be not intending to come back to Kenya, but you see, you may have families, you may have other extended families or other relatives or even friends, even us, who are in this country. At this time, we need to elect leaders, proper leaders. You may not see the need to vote, but now when you think of the other people who are back in Kenya, that should send you to the ballot. Do the right, make the right decision, vote, and you will be helping them. Even if it is actually, even if you are given an opportunity to vote for the governor, I would think on the other positions, I would think it would have been proper for you to go voting, because you have villages. When you come out of that country that is a foreign country, you go home. From landing the airport, you always go back to your villages. You will want to see what is happening in those homes. How are the people faring? How is the economy of that place? That is determined by this vote, the political vote. Number three, you should vote because we need to get out of the way the bad leaders. You know, we have had a government that has really, I don't want to use this word, but it has really left the country. It has taken the country to its knees. I really even don't understand why somebody should be having the guts, walking around campaigning and talking of this Mzee will save this country when you're still sitting as a president. Who will say, well, you are admitting that you really done us? So we are going out there to get rid of those bad leaders, not just the top level, even in the counties. We are going to vote here where we are. You are going to vote for the president, make the right decision. And Ellie, and there is now one more issue that I needed to
MK, please make it quick. We are out of our airtime. We need
let
to
me sum it at that point.
Thank you so much. This is what happens right here on The President. We want every single Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We continue with this conversation tomorrow, and join us on Tuesday as we go to the ballot. Of course, I want to recognize the presence and, of course, appreciate for the first time our lady panelist, Margaret Rulhoff, all the way from Germany. Thank you so much for coming on set, Margaret. We appreciate you for setting aside your time and being part of this conversation. Maurice Ndole, all the way from the USCA, that is California. He tells me he's an independent journalist and works with Ndole Media, and he is more than happy to continue publishing those articles that matter to you on Hot Seat Media. I believe I got it right.
Hot Seat News.
Hot Seat News, pardon me. That is where you get Maurice and get to see what he is doing as a journalist, of course.
What are your handles, Maurice? What are your handles?
Maurice Ndole, at Maurice Ndole.
At Maurice Ndole on all social media platforms, I believe. Margaret, you want to give us your handles?
My handle is Ralph, RULF.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming in. And MK, he is an advocate with the Kenyan High Court, and of course, a practicing lawyer with Kadima.
And I needed to tell Margaret, I'm actually based in Nairobi. Yes. Don't ever have any problem with those questions that you need to ask about what you are talking about. Legal services ziko hapa.
Yes,
you just got yourself a lawyer for that matter. Thank you so much. Let me appreciate one professor here. I believe this is Professor Soronoi, who has given us a contribution, says, and I believe we need to listen into this. He says, we just need clearer process that are respected. We don't need special handling. Kenyans are not good at processes, and that complicates our invitations to invest in Kenya. We like it, njia ya mkato. Great show, says Jekita. Very good panelists. Thank you so much, Atin Hart. Well done. Edwin says, Baba the Fifth, we can't gamble on this. I mean, a mistake repeated once is okay, but not repeatedly. By voting Ruto, who was elected alongside Uhuru, whom they perceived as a failure. Wow, heavy words there. Those are his opinions, and he's allowed to do so. Great shows, guys. Thank you so much, Noreen, for watching. I see Anne Serafin clapping all the way. Na amesema ni more fire pale. Kimani Mbire says, kura yangu ni siri yangu. Okay, thank you so much, Kimani. Andrew Omolo says, diaspora should be part of the voice of reason concerning integrity and our vote should influence the result of these elections, I believe. And the other hand, Bishop Isaac Muthengi says, Ruto, my president, with the two Esthers, State House will be the power room. Well, if prayers will be horses, and if horses were, if wishes were horses, then the beggars will ride. The truth of the matter is, come the 9th of August, we go to election, and we will have a president, and we will have opposition. Having said that, the choice is as clear as the sky tonight. However, here in Brussels, it's raining, not men, but raining blessings. See you when you see us. This is The Conversation, and my name is Likuyanani. We are out. God bless you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening and enjoy your afternoon there in California, Maurice. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Nice to meet you, MK.
Nice to see you.